What's up, everybody? Let's do a post-market check. See what I did good, what I did bad, how the predictions turned out. Decided to kind of scan through the morning here. I already know in the back of my head some stuff I did good, some stuff I did bad. Um, so what was I really looking for? I was looking for this support area to hold, and still these to provide decent rejections, keeping in mind that pre-market is going to be here, right? The orange dotted line. Um, and I said that we're pinched. I was like, I think both this resistance and the support at this point is innocent until proven guilty. I'm not gonna take against either one of those very much. Um, So yeah, and then one thing that I know I did bad is I started to pigeonhole on this blue CPI VWAP. I was like, oh, if this holds, we're gonna bounce. And I kind of forgot about these bottom ones here. Um, and I said that if this breaks down, we're gonna back test it from below. And really, I should have said if this whole zone breaks down. So I got to keep that in mind. And then another thing I did bad involves this pre-market VWAP, and I did the same thing with this pre-market VWAP. I said if this pre-market VWAP doesn't hold, we're just going to squeeze out or we're going to reject that. When really we should have been looking at pre-market VWAP and this continuation VWAP. And maybe even this one could have provided rejection, but really what I said is if it gets all the way up here, it has potential to break it. When really I should have said it has potential to get all the way up here, and it could still reject. So kind of the same mistake on the top side and the bottom side. Thinking, kind of forgetting about the other stuff and thinking about, see, I mentioned it here. I mentioned it here, but then I stopped thinking about it. And I mentioned it here, but then I stopped thinking about that. When really I indicated straight up that these zones were strong on both sides. So that's kind of the analysis here, and the mistakes in that kind of getting pretty good towards the beginning. Think about how we're pinched and okay in the end, but I shouldn't get pigeonholed on one VWAP. Like I have multiple of these for a reason. I should go ahead and make a zone and then look to scalp between the zones. Um, Especially when I'm convinced that we're gonna pinch between that we are pinched between the two of them. So now let's get into the actual recap of my live trades. Okay, so here's the live. Um, a lot of this stuff before here was a lot of BRT stream. So I'm not going to show any of that. I shouldn't do that. This is like their proprietary stream. Um, premium stream rather. It's great stuff. I mean, they stream for like two and a half hours, right? Just giving them breakdown as professional traders. But so I shouldn't share any of that. This is premium stuff. So I'll just skip over to my trades. I'm mostly recording that. Um, so what am I seeing here? I mean, it's 9:35, and I'm looking at right now the 5 minute MAC cross. I'm looking at the 2 minute max already crossed. I'm looking at the support kind of not get broken on the initial morning, but that doesn't really mean much for the first, 10 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and keep skipping forward a little bit. Now we're at 9:40, 9:41, 9:43. I'm still just watching. I'm still just watching. Um, I got into one that was a misclick. I don't know where that misclick was. I think I already got past it. Um, where was I? Yeah, I think I got into a misclick and then I reset that misclick. And then I got into just one. I was looking to just take one here. I thought, we hit the pre-market VWAP. The two's kind of rolling back down. we could cross. We could cross and keep going down. Um, but then I realized that this is pretty questionable. Actually, I realize this is a pretty questionable trade. The 5 minute mag is not. There's no real weakness. I mean, it almost looks like the buyer wave could beat the seller wave. So I'm like, you know what? Um, we could just still in this pocket. I think we'll come down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I got a little bit of profit, catch a few points, and then just get out of that trade and reset that trade. I thought I jumped the gun on that, but I could get out with a little bit of profit, um, and call that kind of a decent little thing. So let's go ahead and look to the second trade. So like I said, I only took 2 trades today, and I was like, and then I realized that the 5 minute MAC was still looking pretty strong. This clearly still continue up to those other supports I was talking about, right? I mean, the continuation roll. This is just a pre-market VWAP. It already provided a scalp. The 5 minute MAC's looking strong. The 2 minute MAC didn't even cross. It kind of stuffed the cross, and then it's just continuing to go green and slope up. 1 minute, is kind of steadily, or 5 minute rather, RSI is kind of steadily on the rise. So I'm just waiting now. I realized that I jumped the gun, and now I'm just waiting. I'm like, I'm gonna wait until my next VWAPs up hit, and then I see a bit of weakness here, and think I'm gonna try to take. I was like, okay, so actually we came up here, and then we're still kind of rolling. Now I'm getting a bit of the 5 minute MAC weakness. This 2 minute MAC is made this really close, looking like it's about to cross. So then I get into a trade shortly here. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot of that, and I get into one piece. Get into one, and I put my stop pretty high. At first, I was like, should I try to just make this a scalp and put it right here? But then in the end, I actually look, and I'm like, where should I put this? I was like, well, I'm averaging into a trade. I think this is going to roll down. Let's just start putting it all the way above this higher low here. So 5 points up, and I'm pretty sure I can get at least 5 points on the way down. So a 1-to-1, just kind of starting, right? Because I think this could be a very weak day, which I indicated. I think we could come all the way back down to back test these, like we're in sell signal. So I'm averaging in here, and I know that I'm looking to potentially grab another contract, which I do. We push up, we get a nice 1 minute big pop candle that rejects hard immediately. So I'm like, oh, was that the exhaustion? We got the RSI divergence, pops up, but does not make a new RSI high. This two still kind of curling. It started sloping up again though, and the 5 minute max stopped kind of decreasing. Right, you get the lighter green bar, but it's kind of reverting. But I saw that rejection, and then I get into another contract here, which go ahead and screenshot that for the recap. So I get into another contract here. I see the rejection. I'm like, okay, this could be the start of the roll. We could go ahead at least back test these these 5 minute bottom up VWAPs here. So I'd be looking to get, down towards this 5 minute doji, which is a good 3 points there. I'd probably take one of them there, and then look for my final target of getting back in this like support zone. Um, it actually cracks down, so I was right about the rejection doji. I saw that price action. I was right about that, so I think that's great. Kind of go back to that a little bit. So that's why I got into that other contract. I saw this rejection doji, hammer, down hammer. I got into that second contract, and then I was right about that. 2 minute MAC did indeed look like it was flushing. And then skip forward 30 seconds, skip forward another 30 seconds. We start getting the turnaround here. A little bit of hesitation. I'm getting, I'm a little worried. But then eventually we get this crack. This crackdown. The 5 minute MAC definitely currently got the 5 minute RSI definitely coming down, and then we get that nice push down here towards. I took profit on this a little early. I see one flush on the 1 minute, and then I took profit there. I think that was early, but I'm trying to maintain a style where I take at least one contract when I'm 2 full points in profit. Um, so I was like, let me stick to that. I learned that from Mark Douglas reading Trading in the Zone. I was like, let me stick to that. I'll take that 2 point piece and then see what I can do next. I was like, I think we can come all the way back down to at least back test this 5 minute VWAP. We got the 15-minute Keltners. I was like, I think we can come all the way down to kind of test that at least. So I'm holding the next one. I skip forward 30 seconds. We get another crack candle. Um, skip forward another 30, one more 30. Where'd I close? Yeah, we get a nice push down. And again, I'm targeting down here. But as the mentor Brandon points out, always get out early. And I'm still glad that I hold this other contract pretty good. Like I showed here, all the way back down towards the 5 minute bottom up. And I just take it right here. I'm like, that is a nice large candle. That's the fourth big down candle in a row. RSI is way down there. I was like, let's take that other contract. It pushed down a little further. It actually broke that 5 minute VWAP, pushed into the 15 Keltners. But I was happy to take the profit. I was greater than 1 to 1. The first contract at 2 points. The second contract at about 7.5, 8 points. That's better than 1 to 1. And the goal is to be right more than you're wrong. I'm glad that I got out of this trade before my profit. I was definitely in too early. It sure could have rolled all the way down here. I even took profit early, but I was happy about this. I got out. I identified that I was early, and I got out of the trade with profit. Like that could have been this could have been someone's intention to just scalp this pullback, but I managed to identify that I was in a early jump the gun trade and get out with some profit. Um, so I was happy about that. And I was happy about the second trade. And then I was very happy about where I took profit because that 5 minute reversed on that 5 minute bottom up pretty dang quick. Yeah, so I got out pretty much at the bottom of these 5 minute candles. Um, that's the review here of those two trades. After these two trades, I had a work meeting, so I just called it a day. Um, and yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up by looking at the trading view charts. A little busy for sure. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. What happened here? We eventually really went up. We tested. We got to that yesterday high day, like I had planned, right? So I could have actually turned my short around, went for a long in this zone. But and I wanted to actually, but I had to get to my meeting. So I didn't. I was like, I'll save a trade for later around like, power hour. And then I came back for power hour and I didn't like any of this. Someone, Semper Trading in our group, and another amazing mentor pointed out that he thought this was a long, this area here. And he was totally right. I mean, it popped off great long. He called the dump at the bell. But I was like, I have two good wins. I'm not really set up for this. So I'm just not going to take that. And I was proud of that. I was happy about that. I didn't FOMO into a new trade. Um, so, oh, pulled the chart off. So what we do really, I mean, we came up to the high day, rejected all the way near that bottom of the day, 30 up. We actually created a new buy signal. So this support pushed us right into a new buy signal. We came up, we came all the way into testing the sell signal original top down, all the way up here at the top. We got a little, we didn't roll off of it or anything. We just didn't close on the highs. Um, so at this point, now what we would be doing, I'll go ahead and this daily fib's kind of in the way. Let's unsync that so I can get this a little cleaner. Let's go ahead and remove this top down even though I think this could back test, but let's focus on the bottom of VWAPs. Let's keep this really critical support zone in place. And then let's go ahead and make our buy signal VWAPs. So this is the true low. This probably got a tag here. Yeah, got a tag there, and then this got a tag here. So I'd go ahead and move it to the low here. And then I'll go ahead and move it to the candle that started this roll up. Okay, so maybe I'll put one over here. See what happens there. Oh, nice push after hours. Stops right at the CPI VWAP. So yeah, what I'm thinking for tomorrow is that I imagine, unless they want to hit us with the fuckery, that we're going to continue this buy signal and kind of start pushing some of this bearish pressure out. We did not yet break this high, so we're still in this kind of down slope. I think we are going to come back and kind of test these VWAPs. I think overnight, here's what could really nullify this whole thesis is potentially if overnight we hit a big gap down under these supports. If we gap down under these supports, I'm really not going to like that. I think the options there at that point are back testing the supports and cracking down, or we could just troll back up and push right into the supports again and go through them. I'm really not going to like if we gap down under the supports. I'm going to imagine we're going to back test and get bearish, and that this was just a squeeze out, not breaking the highs really, squeezing it out just to kind of gather more liquidity and really shove on down. I'm not totally sure. I won't like the gap down. If we hold steady at these supports, then I'm thinking we're going to continue pushing up, honestly. Um, but we're going to see. I mean, like I said, we flipped into a new buy signal. So that's the most important thing. We're anchored here. We're anchored here. We're anchored to the high. We still have these anchors here that was providing some resistance. So I'm going to be looking for longs if we're still holding over the support, if we're still maintaining the structure. I'm going to be looking for the longs. If I flip over to the daily, I mean, at this point, where are we at now? We're at 43.90. 43.90. So right under the 161. All right. So I mean, yeah, and those supports were like down here near the one. So I think still, if we maintain over the one, we could have a little bit of bullish pressure. I'm not saying we're gonna just shove out all the way here, but I mean that could definitely happen. If it, you know, anything can happen if the market wants it. Uh, if I kind of analyze here at the RSI, what happened previously in these kind of RSI situations on the daily, dump back to the 50, got a little bounce like we're seeing. This day would kind of be like this day, right? Because you had a big sell off, but this is stronger than these are. This is definitely stronger than these are, I think. And what did it have to do here? It had to gap down. So that kind of goes in line that if we gap down under these supports, I don't think that means we're going to flush, but that does mean I think we're going to have a little doji here of indecision. If we maintain over, we could definitely push here. I'm not saying we're going to make it a new all-time high or something like that. But either way, I think the market doesn't really exactly know what it wants. I think that's pretty clear by um, sell signal holds all this support now in a buy signal. So we're really gonna see is overnight action. Yeah, I think a few things can happen. Like I said, it can either gap down hard, just gap under all these supports overnight, or it can maintain it and we kind of continue this slow regrind up. And I think other than that, I'm not going to try to forecast too much of that because honestly, I think this is a very short-lived little sell signal. It didn't even get a big roll, and and that's kind of indicating to me a little bit of shenanigans. So I'm not going to try to predict too hard here. I'll just come into it tomorrow and see what's up.